And welcome back to Fantasy Central. Zach here, and I'm sitting here with the fantasy guru himself, even though we're not in the same place due to COVID restrictions at this time. This is a virtual connection, but I'm sitting here with El Jefe.
What's going on, fantasy football? This championship week, baby.
Yeah, it is. For the vast majority of you out there, we have reached championship week. Some of you, this is it. The matchup of the season, one final week to be crowned the 2020 fantasy football champ. Others, this is week one of your 2-week matchup, and you have to have a great start so you can finish out your opponent next week. So stick with us today, as Hefe is here once again to give you expert advice and insight on who you need to target on the wire, who you need to have balling out on your roster, and who you need to sit on that bench. But first, hop on our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. Once it hits 1,000 subscribers, you have a shot at a free NFL jersey from the NFL shop, bought and paid for by us as a token of appreciation. Don't miss your opportunity. Ready to get it, Hefe?
Let's get into it.
Week 16, championship week, waiver wire. So as always, we're going to get started with the running backs. If you're in need of a running back, who are you targeting on the wire?
So first up, somebody that is probably going to be hard to find. He's available in I think only like 46% of leagues, but it's going to be Tony Pollard, and for obvious reason, right? Zeke was obviously sitting out this past week. Tony Pollard had a big time game, and I mean big time enough that people are saying they should get rid of Zeke and just stick with Tony Pollard. So Tony Pollard, if he's available, somebody that could be very, very valuable for this week. And if the Cowboys lose this upcoming week and they just shut Zeke down for week 17 too, Tony Pollard could pay off for your entire championship run. So Tony Pollard, somebody that I'm definitely targeting. Another guy is going to be Salvin Ahmad. Same kind of situation as Tony Pollard. Might be a little difficult to find. He's available in less than 50% of leagues. If they play the Raiders, he should have a good game if Gaskin is out, right? If Gaskin's there, obviously not going to be as productive, but I believe Gaskin's supposed to be out again. So I would go with Salvin Ahmad with the Raiders.
Yeah, not a bad combination there. I really like the Tony Pollard one. Zeke was out with the calf muscle injury last week. He did not practice. I don't know if he's practicing yet because today's the first day of practice back, but definitely want to monitor that. If Zeke is not ready to go or if he's not 100% healthy, I don't see the Cowboys playing him because they want to protect a valuable asset like that. So Tony Pollard definitely might be the way to go if he's available. He did have a very good game, and he looks like he can continue to produce. Same thing with Ahmad. So I agree with you there. Wide receivers, who you got on the wire this week with wide receivers?
So the only wide receiver I have this week is going to be Rashard Higgins for the Browns. He's somebody that ever since OBJ went down, he's had a couple single-digit performances, but for the most part, his floor is decent flex value. He's getting double-digit points. So if you need somebody, if you're not confident outside of your two running back starters and your two wide receiver starters, then Rashard Higgins is somebody that I like, that I would feel more uncomfortable putting in that position, especially this weekend. They play the Jets, so he should have a good game. Landry probably going to have a good game. They've been really good on offense lately, so Rashard Higgins is in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, I can't dispute that either. They should definitely put up a lot of points against this Jets. The Jets win over the Rams was a fluke, which we'll get to that in our upcoming discussion later on with Brad. But yeah, I agree. The Browns should put up tons of points. Baker should be able to move the ball on them easily. So Landry and Higgins would definitely have a good game there too. So I agree with you. Let's move on to players that you must start this week based upon their matchups. We'll start with the running backs as always, so let it rip.
So I'm going to start with, I've already mentioned Tony Pollard, Salvin Ahmad. Those guys, if you're picking them up, you're starting them, obviously, right? Two guys that I really like their matchups. Think they can have really good weekends. But somebody else that we've liked a lot, and this one hinges upon whether or not Antonio Gibson is in or out, but it's J.D. McKissick going against the Panthers. He should have a really big game. Whoever the starter is for him should have a really, really big game. The Panthers obviously have struggled all season with run defense, and that's not going to change here going against Washington. So J.D. McKissick is somebody that I feel very comfortable about. I should have a 20-plus point kind of week. Le'Veon Bell, somebody that should have a vintage Le'Veon Bell kind of game. The injury to CEH, it looked bad. Thankfully, it wasn't as bad as it looked, but he is going to miss this game. He's doubtful right now, but he's going to miss the game, and so that puts Le'Veon Bell in a really good spot for the Chiefs. You know, obviously the Chiefs have the explosive offense. They're going against the Falcons, which have been pretty good against running backs this season. Not stellar, but pretty good. But obviously, Le'Veon should have a lot of workload in this game without CEH there. And the last one I have here is Nyheim Hines going up against the Steelers. And I'm basing this off what we just saw Giovanni Bernard do against the Steelers. He had a really big game. And obviously, Giovanni Bernard got a lot more workload in that game, right? But Nyheim Hines fills the same kind of roles in the Colts offense that Giovanni Bernard fills in the Bengals offense. So I think Nyheim Hines has a good chance to be at least a flex option if you have him sitting on your bench.
Yeah, let's go back to J.D. McKissick. The last 3 weeks, he has in between 10 and 25 points in each of those games. And he also had multiple double-digit games when he was the lead back. So I agree with you there. I like the matchup if Gibson's not in there. Le'Veon Bell should definitely get the volume. He's capable of producing numbers. We've known that for years. And Nyheim Hines, I love Nyheim Hines. I have him on one of my teams. He is the Colts' go-to passing back. So the Steelers focus on stopping Jonathan Taylor in the run. That's when Nyheim Hines shines, and he can pull in 1-2 touchdowns plus 10-plus receptions every single game. So I agree with you on all those. I like them. All right, let's move on to wide receivers. Who's starting on the wide receiving end?
So obviously, I mentioned from the waiver wire, Rashard Higgins going against the Jets. You're starting him. But going on to the other guys is Marvin Jones against the Bucks, obviously filling into that number one role with Galladay out. He's had some down performances, so I'm a little worried about this one. But the Bucks defense hasn't been great either, right? And Calvin really just went and had a huge game against the Bucks, so I think Marvin Jones is in a position to come in and have another game, possibly 10 targets again, right? So Marvin Jones, if you have him, start him. Another guy I've mentioned a few weeks in a row now, Kiki Cutie going against the Bengals here. A starter for obvious reasons. I like Deshaun Watson and him seem to really be hooking up well over the last few games. So go ahead and start him if you were able to pick him up in your league. Antonio Brown is another option going against the Lions. Obviously, just had his first touchdown with the Bucks this past weekend. Biggest game for obvious reason with the Bucks so far, and I think there's room to build on that. And it's the Lions, right? Their defense has been pretty bad this year, so like Antonio Brown and then DJ Moore going against Washington. And usually I don't pick wide receivers with bad matchups, especially if they fill that X receiver slot. But DJ Moore, over the last half of the season, we saw in the early part of the season, Robbie Anderson was the number one receiver with the Panthers and putting up huge numbers. But over the last, I want to say, probably 6 weeks or so, we've seen a lot of DJ Moore. And obviously, DJ Moore missed a game because of COVID-19. But DJ Moore has been putting up numbers. He's at least a flex option going against Washington this week.
Yeah, I can't argue with any of those. We've already talked about Higgins. I like the matchup there with the Jets. Same with Landry. Marvin Jones against the Bucks. He is definitely their number one receiver with Kenny Galladay out and with Matthew Stafford in the backfield and a struggling Bucks defense. He could definitely produce numbers there for you. QT, we talked about him the last few weeks too. I like the matchup with the Bengals as well. Antonio Brown, he is so capable of putting up numbers and getting the volume. And I think they're still trying to work him into the system. I know he's been there for I don't know how many weeks now, but I don't know if he will produce because of the kind of weapons that they have on that offense. And Brady's not scared to give anybody the ball. but he's more than capable of doing it. And DJ Moore, pretty questionable there, I won't lie. But like you said, he has been consistent over the last 4 weeks. He has had 20 points, 25 points, dropped one for a 10-pointer, but then bounced back with a 22-point game. So although it's an iffy matchup, he could shine and he could get you the points. So if you have him and you have nobody else better to put in there, definitely consider that move too. So I agree there.
Yeah, and the thing I like about Antonio Brown as a flex option is because even since the first week he was with the Bucks, he's been there 6 games, and in 5 of those 6 games he has at least 5 targets. So I mean, right away Tom's trying to find him, but like you said, it's been more of a Antonio Brown getting reacclimated with that Arian system and whatever Bruce has changed over the years. And I think you saw the results of that, which was weird because AB's biggest game of the season came after his most down game of the season. He didn't see many targets the week before. But I think, again, I think Tom's going to keep trying to find AB and probably another touchdown here against the Lions.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you there. All right, let's move on to must bench players. People you have to avoid this week because that matchup is so horrendous. Who are you avoiding?
So the only running back that I think, it's championship week. The only running back that I really want to stay away from this week, who might be out anyway. So, the Jags might take care of this one for me. But James Robinson is going against the Bears. I don't like the matchup. Even if he plays, I don't feel comfortable at all playing him. Now, see the thing, if you have James Robinson, you're probably okay on running backs because James Robinson was a waiver wire pickup in the early season. So hopefully, whoever has James Robinson, you're able to go ahead, sit him against the Bears because this matchup does not sit well with me.
Oh, I don't know, man. I agree on the matchup, but even with Jacksonville being so bad, it seems like he is their only shining star on that field. He ever since week 1, I'm looking at it now, he has not had a single digit game. So very questionable there, but you did bring up a good point that if you have James Robinson, more than likely you have other running backs out there that are more capable of producing this week. So with that, I can roll with. All right, moving on to wide receivers. Who are you avoiding with the receivers this week?
So I have 2 guys here, and this first one, he's usually just an animal, but he's had a couple random down weeks. I think this is going to be another random down week for AJ Brown going up against the Packers. And while that defense isn't phenomenal, I really, really like Jair Alexander, somebody that doesn't get talked about much. The number one cornerback there, his second year with the Packers, and he's really fast, so he'll be able to keep up with AJ Brown all over the field. AJ Brown is obviously he's a tank. He's a physical specimen as of a wide receiver, and he's a little bit bigger than Jair Alexander, so that's the only thing that gives me a little worry. But I think it's going to be more run heavy. Obviously, in this game, you have Derrick Henry going up against the weaker run defense in the Packers. So I think it's going to be more Derrick Henry. And then I think instead of trying to go and target A.J. Brown with Jair Alexander all over him, I think you'll see a lot of Corey Davis and Jonnu Smith in this game. I think it's going to be one of those games where A.J. Brown is more of a decoy kind of player kind of thing. I could be wrong, but that's my thought. Like Zach says, that's why they call me the guru. Trust me. This is what they're doing. And another one here, I think I had him here last week, but I'm going to have to put him here again. It's going to be Adam Thielen going up against the Saints. I think they're going to keep Marshawn Lattimore on him and keep Marcus Johnson on the rookie. And so you might see some more Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook. I don't think they'll be able to run as well. So that's the only thing that kind of panics me about putting Adam Thielen here. But I like Marshawn Lattimore a lot. So I think Justin Jefferson will see a lot of targets in this game.
Yeah, I can get down on both of those. I like how you phrase the A.J. Brown thing. A.J. Brown has had 2 games in the games he played. He missed some time early back in the season. I think it was 3 weeks, but he's only had 2 single-digit games. But I do believe that he will be more of a decoy in this game. The Packers' rush defense isn't very good, so Henry will get most of the volume there. And, of course, you have Corey Davis and Jonnu Smith there, where Tannehill will probably be diverting to as they use A.J. Brown as a decoy. So I agree with your assessment there. And Adam Thielen, the Saints defense is just too good overall. I would sit him as well. All right. You got anything else to throw in there?
Nope. I don't have anything else.
All right. Well, Hefe's Week 16 power rankings are already out on our Facebook and Twitter pages at Horsemen Sports. Let us know what you think about your favorite team's ranking in the comments section. Talk some shit. Keep Hefe entertained. He loves to argue with you and plead his case for why your team is good or your team sucks. And again, help us reach 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, and you'll have a shot at winning a free, authentic NFL jersey from the NFL shop on us. That's all we have for you guys today. We'll be back on Thursday with Brad for our Week 16 picks and preview show. We will see you then, and thanks for listening.